riders and returning riders. Take a look at this.
The Barney Racing Ducati team remain unchanged for 2018 despite rumours of a second bike being fielded. Xavi Forés is the team's sole entrance as they go looking for their first World Superbike win once more. Scaling down from 2 Superbikes to just 1, the Altea BMW team replaced the departing Torres by bringing in Loris Baz, somewhat unfairly left without a ride on the Grand Prix scene. The Frenchman makes his return to a championship that has moved on in great pace since his last appearance back in 2014. IT Ducati, it is the last season of the twin-cylinder machine. It doesn't mean Chaz Davies and Marco Melandri won't be up at the sharp end, however, with 47 wins between them. Still no title for either of them, nor the Panigale V Twin, which would be the first time any factory Ducati model has failed to take a World Superbike title. Could this year be their year? Michael Rinaldi is the team's junior rider. Team Go 11 Kawasaki retain Roman Ramos' services for 2018, with Guandalini Yamaha fielding Andrei Zezek for the forthcoming season. At Factory Kawasaki, the team remains the same for a 4th straight season, with reigning champion Jonathan Rea looking to make it 4 for Northern Ireland, whilst 2013 champion and teammate for another season, Tom Sykes, wants to make the World Superbike Championship come home to Huddersfield. Who will it be at the end of the year? Also, in their last year lineup, Milwaukee Aprilia enjoyed a steep learning curve in 2017, but coming to 2018 with a wealth of data and knowledge already banked, Eugene Laverty and Lorenzo Savadori pilot Sean Muir's squad once more. Replacing Cameo at MV Agusta, ex-Moto2 and World Superbike race winner Jordi Torres. The Spaniard is a sole entry for MV Agusta this year and will be looking to give the Italian manufacturer their first World Superbike podium, and maybe their first win. 2 new teams for 2018, the first of which is World Supersport outfit Aurillac Racing, who field Leandro Mercado. The second team is Triple M Honda, who run the second American in the series this year, World Supersport race winner PJ Jacobson. Puchetti Kawasaki of Toprak Razgat Lioglu making his debut in 2018. Ian Sofwoglu's protege already on the pace, whilst over at Pedicini there is another MotoGP refugee in Yoni Hernandez. Red Bull Honda had an incredibly difficult 2017, firstly with the loss of Nicky Hayden and then the injury of Stefan Bradl. Leon Camier moves across to the team from MV Agusta, whilst Jake Gagne gets a full-time World Superbike call-up. Pata Yamaha came on strong in the second half of 2017 and they retained their rider lineup for the forthcoming season. Alex Lowe's and Michael Vandermark will be settling for nothing less than a win this year, which would give Yamaha their first in World Superbikes since 2011. 2018 sees a mix of elite experience and youthful exuberance, the perfect blend of young and new. From ex-Grand Prix stars to the Superbike paddock's very own talent being brought through, 2018 has the stage perfectly set. Could this be the year World Superbikes comes back to mass audiences? Who can topple Jonathan Rea? I for one would not bet against a 4th successive title.
Almost too professional for the likes of us, Kiko, isn't it? That was a nice little run through there, isn't it? That's looks pretty good. And well done on that, by the way.
Oh, thanks, Lester. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the visual skills there. And for everyone who's listening in and not watching, you can go to our Facebook page, and that will be out as a separate clip for you to all share and comment on with all your friends and family. So give it a look when we get it out.
Yeah, huddle around your laptop, friends and family, and nan and granddad. Maybe
yes, not. Huddle around your laptop after you've huddled around the fireplace, after you've watched EastEnders. Of course, other soap operas are available. Right.
So anyway, moving on. Yes, we've got loads of stuff packed into this very short World Superbike preview, and I've still got my winter coat on. Really, it doesn't really feel like the start of the season. Although the World Superbikes always comes around just way too early, for my liking. Anyway, so still to come here on the special World Superbike show on Motorsport Radio. Greg Haynes will be hopefully on the line live from Spain. Por favor. Also, Alex Lowe's as well. He's going to be here with a chat that we had with him, Kiko did, a short time ago, let's say.
Yes.
And but first, Kiko, we only have the world champion.
We do, Jonathan Rea. I think he's. I think we spoke to him a while back, and these are his thoughts on last year and the forthcoming year. Rules changes, regulation updates, and, well, obviously the prospect of a 4th title.
We are here at Motorcycle Live and we're going to talk to triple champion in World Superbikes, Jonathan Ray. Jonathan, how's it feel to be a triple champion, first of all?
Nice. I mean, it feels... I'm incredibly proud of what we've achieved, to be honest, but I'm just super busy right now. Since pretty much winning the championship, I've been really busy doing PR, marketing events, still racing, and so it hasn't really set in. I think when I go away in the off-season, Christmas time, and really reflect with my family, we'll understand what we've achieved. But in Superbike, the off-season is so short. We're already testing now next week for next year. Then we start our season in February, so there's not a lot of time to actually, a lot of downtime. So we're already thinking about 2018.
Was 2017 one of the more difficult championships you won, or was it easier because you wrapped it up earlier?
To be honest, it was probably the most straightforward. I can't say easy because, of course, riding at that level is not easy. But 2016 was really challenging, really hard, because we had the new bike, the new ZX-10R, but we got a handle on that at the end of the year, and during the off-season we managed to tweak things to like my way. So we hit the ground running at the start of the year, built a nice gap. We won 7 from 8 races at the start of the year, 7 from 8 at the end of the year, and the mid part was we had some bad luck, some things going wrong, but aside from that, it's been pretty plain sailing.
2017, the World Superbike organisers decided to introduce the half reverse grid. Obviously that has affected you probably more than any other rider. What's your thoughts on that?
I've never been a huge fan, but I mean, it's not the way to make the racing better at all, because 9 times out of 10 this year the fastest guy has gone to the front and the guys around his pace have been stuck in traffic. So it actually prevents there being a really close race. So aside from, I think, 2 instances, maybe Aragon, Alex Lowe's was in the front a bit longer in race 2. Jordi Torres in race 2, and Misano was around the front for a lot longer. Apart from them 2 instances, it's made no difference, apart from a really chaotic first couple of laps, which is, okay, it's exciting from the couch, but actually behind the screen it's can be scary at times. But yeah, it's, Dorna are trying all these things to reinvent Superbike, to make it exciting and whatnot, but for me that wasn't a step forward.
Since joining Kawasaki, have you felt like a new rider? Because we've seen before, you've obviously got the pace at Honda, but this is domination now.
Yeah, I think the difference is the Kawasaki is a bike ready to win. I mean, I jumped on it, and it's not okay. It's never easy, but the bike's developed to win a championship. It's very, very good over many different circuits, many different temperatures, asphalt, grip. Where the Honda, felt like for me to be strong on that bike, the stars had to align, things had to be perfect, and it was very hard to be consistent. So once I was able to jump on the Kawasaki, I could relax my aggression, let's say, not try to win every single race and end up in the gravel. I could be more methodical because the bike was at a really high level.
World Superbikes are introducing concessions next year to other manufacturers. Is that a disadvantage to you, or do you think you'll be able to be up the front either way?
I like to think I should be at the front either way.
Do you think it's a step forward for the Superbikes?
Again, I want to be optimistic about it, because the championship's in good hands with Dorna, and we have to believe in their direction, because they've done a great job with MotoGP in the last years. It's probably the golden era right now, but it's hard to see how it's going to. I think I think the price cap, the RPM limits is all a positive thing. Try to bring the private teams closer to the factory teams. But the concessions during the year and being able to manipulate performance at the discretion of the organisers during the season for me, I don't fully understand it, but I hope they get it right, because it's quite a bold change.
There's a circuit being built in Northern Ireland. Some thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure if they broke ground, but I've heard the Lake Torrens is the venue. Sounds like there's a lot of actual real funds available to do this circuit, so it's exciting time to be from Northern Ireland, not just because I'm winning right now, but the investment in road racing, the amount of government grants they're getting for that and safety, and now with the the vision of this Lake Torrens circuit, it would be great to be able to attract like a World Championship event there, or at least a national championship like BSB.
Finally, 2018, looking to become a 4-time champion over Foxy's record. First ever time that you've got 3 championships on the bounce. Will it be 4 next season?
Very hard to say, honestly, because the championships in such a it's a new era for Superbike with the regulations next year, so we have to understand our level. We have to see what happens, but I'll be trying with a lot of motivation to try and make it 4. Just try to be injury free and consistent throughout the year, and who knows.
Jonathan, thank you for joining us.
Cheers.
Triple World Superbike champion Johnny Ray, and almost the 2017 Sports Personality of the Year. If it wasn't for just a couple of thousand, we nearly did it. We almost did it, and proved a lot of people wrong. That actually, people who race bikes and don't get that much exposure, relatively speaking, can still be right up there in the popular poll of opinion, ahead of, let's say, Formula One people. Anyway, so yeah, fantastic to hear from, and another fantastic interview, Kiko, and talking interestingly about the rules and regulation changes for this year.
Yeah, rules and regulations across all sports to do with motorsport really will evolve over time. It's natural to them. MotoGP have done it with the CRT. They were introduced in 2012. There was a lack of bikes on the grid. It was basically an answer to the economic crisis that we had across the world. Formula One have done it. They've introduced new engine rules. World Superbikes are doing it now. And in all honesty, it's been controversial. And in all honesty, I'm not sure how it's going to work. But we spoke to some people a bit of time ago now, well, it's fair to say, who think they know how it will plan out. So Michael Howarth, John Reynolds and a few other notable names have their thoughts on the subject.
As a pundit, how do you see the new direction of World Superbikes has gone with the reverse grid?
The reverse grid for me hasn't done what you thought it should do. It hasn't made it any... We thought we were going to have 20 laps of the faster men battling through traffic, and what we've got really is 1 lap of Jonathan Ray getting to the front again. Tom Sykes struggling a little bit, and Chaz Davies somewhere in between. That's the only difference it's made. So I don't think that's worked. Whether the one race on Saturday and 1 race on Sunday's worked or not, I don't know. Jury's still out. Some people like that, some don't.
Where World Superbikes is failing, British Superbikes are succeeding. So you've got to ask yourself what World Superbikes needs to do if they're gonna compete with British Superbikes anymore. You know.
Would British Superbikes' regulations be an option for World Superbikes? Maybe adopt a BSB kind of format?
Adopting a kind of BSB format, yes. I'm not sure that going on Motec and restricting the engines like we have in BSB, I don't think they need to go that far at Worlds. I think the bikes should be a bit more highly tuned. They should all be on a controlled ECU, either that or manufacturers' kit ignitions, and get away with what the car you've got running MotoGP systems from 2 years ago. Kawasaki blowing money on their systems. You're supposed to only have 10 grand in your electronics, but they don't. So it doesn't work. The rules they brought in for next year don't work, and they won't work, and it's just going to be another Kawasaki championship with Chaz Davies pitching in every now and again to take it to Johnny Ray every now and again. So yeah, they need to do something. They really do.
Not a big fan. You know, as a spectator, you'd like to see 2 races in one day rather than have to keep going back. The split grid, it makes it exciting for the spectator, but I think it'd be a nightmare for the rider. You know, you've got to, if you win the first race and then you're in 10th or 9th place for the second, it means you've got to take risks, really, to pass people. And which, you know, is part of the game, of course, but I think it's, well, yeah, I wouldn't like, I'll do it, for sure, but I don't think it's a great thing to do.
Can World Superbikes get back to how it was when you won your race in 2000?
What, for grid, for spectators, you mean?
Spectators, entertainment value, close racing?
You know, I don't really know what's wrong with World Superbike. I mean, we've got British champions, world champions and British world champions. And I don't know why, you know, we don't all get behind it, because, you know, we're watching world-class riders win world championships in the British.
The rules need to be brought in line. They've made a few minor changes for next year that, in my opinion, will make no difference. However, I know that Yamaha have some different direction, and they've got high hopes of being a lot closer, at least, to the Ducatis. So I think maybe the Kawasaki will still be the strongest. I think the rest should close up, so it might be marginally more interesting. Rules-wise, they need to take a look at BSB, which works. It would be an easy fix, but it's not that simple because the manufacturers want to develop bikes with full electronics and have everything the way it is. And Dorna don't want to be copying BSB, I guess. So I think next year is going to be better, but not quite perfect.
Well, a few controversial comments there from as you heard, lots of people, Kiko. And what did you make of it?
It's interesting to see where everyone stands on it. There's a lot of, I believe, criticism around the whole issue of it before we've even really given it a go. You know, we was very, I wouldn't say welcoming, but we was a lot more open-minded when CRT was introduced in 2012, and arguably CRT has created the MotoGP structure of today. So I think World Superbikes, it's taken a lot of flack over the last few years, but I think when people realise that these regulations have been brought in to bring a spectacle about the sport and not go pure racing, because arguably you end up with things like Formula One and it becomes a procession, and that's what World Superbikes has become. Something needed to happen. Dorna are trying to make their mark on the championship. They're changing things. They might change things back because they've realised, that doesn't work anymore. So I think we've got to be a lot more open-minded. But, it's interesting to see how everyone thinks about what the championship's going to do. It might not work at all, and we might be stucking them up with World Superbikes, but I'm sure we'll find out very soon.
Well, one person who we possibly can ask, who might also have a couple of opinions, let's say, hopefully he does, because otherwise it'll be a rather boring interview. It is, please welcome onto the Superbike show for 2018, Greg Haynes. Hi, Greg.
Evening, guys. How are you? How's it going?
Fantastic to have you on. You're live on Motorsport Radio. Welcome to Motorsport Radio. And it's good to have you on. And I'm sure you and Kiko have already been shooting the breeze before we went to air about all things World Superbikes.
We certainly have. And I agree with you guys, to be honest. We have to be different. That's what the World Superbike Championship needs right now in 2018. And why not try something new? If it doesn't work, it doesn't matter, does it? But if you don't try, you'll never know.
Couldn't agree more, Greg. And we'll come on to the regulation changes, and we'll go into a bit more detail about exactly what they are and why we might be a bit more open-minded, and why some people might be critiquing them a little bit more. But first, let's talk about Johnny Ray. This is a period of World Superbikes now which is being dominated. It's on an unprecedented level. He's become the first rider to win 3 championships on the bounce, and he looks odds on for a 4th, and we haven't even got going yet. The testing looks good for Kawasaki. They've seemed to adapt it to these real changes quickly. What do you make of this domination as well, but what is in store for 2018? I mean, can he continue this form?
Well, I think he can. In fact, I'm certain that he can. And I think the key with Jonathan Ray is not being different, but at this time it's the A word, it's adaptation. He adapts, like all the greats in motorsport. They adapt, don't they, to all of the different eras, all of the different rules, whether they're sporting regulation changes, whether they're technical regulation changes. We've seen it in the past. Valentino Rossi, of course, is the master of that. Schumacher did the same thing in Formula One, and Jonathan Ray's doing it at the moment in the World Superbike Championship. But he's got such a fantastic team around him. He says it all the time. It's like a family, and it really is like a family. They have a WhatsApp group called Team 65. He, Pierre Reba, the crew chief, all of the mechanics, and they are just one big family, and they all love each other in every possible way, really, and they adapt to all of these changes. And because, Kiko, they're winning these championships so early, it's that snowball effect. It's allowing them to start testing before the end, way before the end of the previous season. So they're already 3 steps ahead of everybody by the time we get to the first race of the new year.
Absolutely. You say that Johnny Ray and Kawasaki are winning the championship early, but if we, in the season, but if we look at Jonathan Ray, this says he's been in World Superbikes for a long time. He's been on the world stage for a long time. He's had a lot of seasons in Britain before he came. Is this success delayed? Has it always been there? Has it always been this imminent and this dominant? Or, has he needed the experience to build up? Or was it a mixture of both? Would this have happened at another manufacturer anyway?
Well, it's very interesting. I remember Martin Brundle once saying live on air on a Formula One broadcast that some of your best races come in your 30s, and Jonathan is obviously now 31. He celebrated his birthday back in January. And I think, I'm not saying he couldn't have done this when he was a bit younger, let's say 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. However, there is no doubt about it. He has that experience. He'd already got, a load of races under his belt before he'd even gone to Kawasaki. And I think he'd also been able to appreciate the difficult times, because they were difficult times at Honda, although he got the best out of that bike in the same way somebody like Leon Cami has done more recently with the MV.
Oh. And we'll never know exactly what happened to him. Just to actually prove that this is a live show, by the way, folks.
Yes.
Stuff like that happens. And that's how you can tell it's a live show, because obviously we would have definitely edited that out to spare our blushes. From your provisional, the first half of your chat with Greg, then, what would you have maybe gone on to perhaps ask him? We'll try and get him back on the line, by the way.
Yeah, I think the next thing we would have been talking about was whether Jonathan Rea can be stopped. I mean, the opposition this year in World Superbikes has come back a little bit stronger. We've got a few more competitive manufacturers, a lot more factory involvement in some of the top teams. So I think, the opposition this year could be, a little bit more challenging, but you've got to, you'd be a mug to bet against Johnny Rea in this rich vein of form that he's in. It's unreal.
Well, you'd be a mug to bet against him, Greg. Greg's back, by the way. I don't know where. We'll blame that on Kiko, I think.
I am back. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what the noise was beforehand, and then we lost the line. But it was a bit like being in the commentary box when the screens go off. Technical problems do happen, don't they?
And then you think, oh my God. Yeah.
Yes. We thought Greg had high-sided for a moment, but luckily he's not injured, and he is on the line. And we'll move on then. We'll go to the opposition.
Anything can happen, as they always say.
This is it. This is show business. Well, it's not, but opposition. Let's be realistic. Chaz Davies and Tom Sykes have been the two main protagonists who have taken this to Jonathan Rea for the last 3 years while Johnny's been winning. Can they finally stop the rot? This has been a level of dominance, like we say, which we've never seen before. Someone surely's got to stop him, and if it's going to be anyone, Chaz Davies and Tom Sykes.
Well, one thing Jonathan Rea knows better than probably anybody is just how critical it is to start the season well. Because if you go through the last few seasons, particularly 2017, obviously, and look at not the points all over each individual race, but the points all over each weekend, it is very, very clear the way the championship goes up and down. Jonathan Rea, as I say, knows better than anybody else. They've got to put the pressure on him right from day one. Even last year when Chaz Davies finished second, right behind Jonathan Rea, less than a tenth of a second in each of the two races in Australia. He bagged 40 points. We went to Thailand, and I think Kawasaki was concerned, thinking, this year he is there. The previous year, if you remember, he crashed in race 2 at Phillip Island and finished 10th. So he'd already thrown away a load of points. Last year that didn't happen. But then, of course, we went to Thailand, and David did have a crash there again. So by the time we get to Aragon, we've already got over 25 points, over a win's worth of points. And that, of course, then sets the mood for the championship season. So it is paramount. I can't stress, actually, how important it is that they get that pressure on Jonathan Rea from day one across those first 2 rounds of the season, so we can get back to Europe, and there's still a very close fight on their hands. Chaz Davies, you mentioned him there. He has been injured. He came off the bike very, very badly. We don't know the official reason. I've heard that it may have been a brake failure or a brake problem of some kind. But anyway, he was up at turn 1 at Jerez back in November. And whatever happened, he had to throw himself off the Ducati. So he damaged one of his knees. He damaged one of his shoulders. He says, I spoke to him yesterday, that he's feeling a lot better now. Let's hope he is, because we don't want one of the front runners being ruled out of contention by injuries. So let's just hope he is all right. And anyone really could win that first race. We've seen Phillip Island the last few years. Although Jonathan Rea's won most of them, it could go either way there.
Really could. And one manufacturer that we saw at the back end of 2017 that's made massive steps forward is Yamaha. What do you make of their season coming up? Alex Lowe's and Michael van der Mark looking really good.
Well, they have the continuity, don't they? They've got the same team format around them. As you said, the two same riders in Lowe's and van der Mark, who are really exciting rider lineup. There's a great rivalry between the two of them. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But I think that's a good thing because they push each other on, and it works. Many times last year, let's not forget, those two Yamaha, particularly towards the end of the season, the final third of the year, were beating Tom Sykes on a pretty regular basis. Jonathan Rea was the problem, but they were ahead of Sykes. They were fighting with the Ducatis. And this year, arguably, you could say with these modified technical regulations, Yamaha has more to gain than anybody else. And as Paul Denning said when I chatted with him yesterday for an MCN interview, that bike was evolving very well anyway. Perhaps even without the regulation changes, they might have been right on the back of Jonathan Rea this year. So this is their chance. And let's not lie here. There is pressure, isn't there? Because this is their, second full season, third full season now with the R1. They need to be winning with it.
Yeah, Yamaha need to be winning, quite frankly. They haven't won since 2011. Yeah, okay, they had the timeout, but it's 3 years. The bike's been a proven winner in Britain. So I think I couldn't agree more. They need to start winning, but I think if there's going to be a year, this will be the year. Interestingly, though, one manufacturer that hasn't really grasped the Yamaha have kind of progressed and they've made changes, but BMW have been, I'll say the word, woeful in the wet conditions we've seen, particularly. They've downscaled to one machine this year. They've brought in Loris Baz. How much of a change is that going to be?
Well, Loris Baz says that he reckons they can get that bike regularly in the top 6 this year and maybe even push so much that they could be fighting for the race wins and for the World Championship in 2019, which seems a little bit over-optimistic, I must say. I hope I'm wrong. It would be fantastic if they can. We know Loris Baz has a proven track record. 3 years now in MotoGP. He will have evolved as a rider. He's still only 25. People think he's older. I think even his team boss, Genesio Bevilacqua, from Altea, was surprised. He was only 21 when he was racing alongside Tom Sykes at Kawasaki back in 2014. He has won World Superbike races before. BMW is a tricky one because it's not a full factory effort like you have with Kawasaki, and to all intents and purposes, Yamaha and Ducati as well, and even affiliates, to be honest. BMW is a private team which has bought that bike, and they're having to develop it as best they can with a limited budget and limited capabilities. Baz is obviously a very, very good rider, as was Jordi Torres, but I think Baz, with his added World Superbike experience, could take it one step further now. But as you said there, Kiko, they've got to get the bike sorted out. Major issue they have. He says the front-end feel is very, very good, but the electronics is the area where they really need to improve. And interestingly, Baz, in testing so far, and it is very limited testing, but he's done a lot of laps, and is having the same issues that Torres had over the last 2 years, which is on a full fuel load at the beginning of the race, they struggle, and then they come stronger towards the end. So they need to sort it out to be stronger from lap 1.
That's crucial as well, because if you get marooned somewhere in the pack and you suddenly become separated from the front 6, because it looks like we could have 2 Kawasaki's, 2 Ducatis, 2 Yamahas, maybe even Xabi Flores up there on the Barney Ducati. If he gets marooned, he can completely isolated from that top 6 or 7. That is a big problem, and he's going to have to overcome that. The team are going to have to overcome that through the year somehow. They're going to have to do something. And talking of overcoming problems, Honda, second year now with the new Fireblade. I hear a rumour there's a couple of electronic issues because they've switched from Cosworth to Magneti Marelli.
Yes, we certainly have. If you look at the tech specs of that Honda Fireblade over the last few years, even before the new bike came in 2017, that bike was always the one that was quite different to all of the others, especially electronics. They were running a Cosworth ECU as opposed to Magneti Marelli, which is what pretty much the rest of the grid is all running now. Now, Cosworth is certainly not a bad ECU. On the contrary, in fact, it's good. But Magneti Marelli has a lot more data. There's a lot more people using it. That seems to be the favoured choice. Of course, MotoGP now are all running with Magneti Marelli, a spec ECU there. The same for everybody. Let's be honest, if you thought BMW was woeful last year, Honda could not have had a worse year, could they? If you had, you couldn't have scripted how bad it was, could you? At every level, it was a nightmare, apart from MotoGP, of course. But the Rhodes project didn't go well. They have the John McGuinness high-profile problems, Guy Martin, and obviously World Superbikes as well. So, yes, it can't really get any worse, but they are a very, very good team, very competent group of people. You've got the Triple M team as well now, which will be working alongside Ten Carter. We've just heard today that Chris Pike, who used to work with Honda and used to be Jonathan Ray's crew chief, has come into Honda Motor Europe to be the operations director in WSBK. So he's the linchpin basically now between Honda Europe itself and the World Superbike teams. He replaces Marco Cini, who left a short time ago at very late notice. The problem, I would say now, Kiko, and I think problem is the right word, is what do they do? Their Magneti Marelli electronics for the 10 Carter team are coming late. They haven't tested them yet. Are they going to be able to test them in Australia? And even if they can test them, I mean, it is such a mountain to climb. It's, how can I describe it? It's like upgrading your computer to a new operating system and having to program the whole thing yourself with absolutely no knowledge, more or less. So I don't know whether it might be more sensible of them to just keep running the Cosworth now this year, but they'll have to switch at some stage.
They'll have to switch at some stage, but surely going to Phillip Island, a track that's very, very unique, there's not really another circuit like that. How valuable will all that data that they're going to gather over the test, over the weekend, how valuable is it going to be? They could be led in the complete wrong direction. They could think, oh, we've actually got a great electronics package. They go to somewhere like Thailand, which is a bit more stop and start. They could go to somewhere like Aragon, which again, bus stop chicanes, stop start hairpins. And it could just completely fall apart. It could disintegrate. The team around, the results could fall. I mean, this is a real no man's land for Honda as a racing organisation now, because, you know, we know the MotoGP bike is not maybe the best all-round bike, but Marc Marquez makes it work. British Superbikes, they are absolutely coming good, and that's very fair to say. But in World Superbikes, nothing's gone right.
No, it hasn't. And of course, one thing we must not forget is that the man who is leading the whole project from a riding point of view, obviously Nicky Hayden, we lost him, and you couldn't have ever envisaged such a scenario, could you? So that was another spanner in the works, performance-wise for the team. And of course, I mean, can you imagine the emotional effect it must have had on everybody in the team? It was a horrible atmosphere when we got to Donington Park last year, and just to walk down the pit lane, Nicky's bike was there, but Nicky wasn't, and the team was in disarray, really, because, as I say, they're a good team. We know they're a great team, but when something like that happens, you can't even imagine it, can you? But we've seen a situation before, electronic-wise, when Suzuki switched during the season in 2015 after Thailand, where Alex Lowe's finished on the podium on a Suzuki. They switched, as had been the plan beforehand, I must add, from Motec to Magneti Marelli. And they did admit in the end that it was probably, with the benefit of hindsight, the wrong thing to do to switch mid-season, because testing is impossible these days because of the way the regulations are. So if you make such a change like that, you can't test. Your testing is all done on the race weekends, and there's such limited time.
Indeed, and the Honda saga, I'm sure, will unfold and continue, and hopefully for the goodness of the riders and for the fans, that they can get that bike sorted, because I mean, we're all Leon Camier fans. How much longer does that kid have to wait for his first win? We're going to move on though from Honda. There's a couple of teams missing from this year. Ioda Racing, they folded at the end of last year, but Grillini, I understand, is how can we put this, off-track politics keeping them away this year?
Yeah, I think that's a good way of phrasing it, Kiko. Yes, some rather untoward activities going on, I think it's fair to say, for Andrea Grillini. Certainly that's what the Italian press was reporting anyway, who obviously have closer connections than we do with what's going on. But it's a shame Ioda Racing have gone. Grillini, on the other hand, were supposed to be on the grid this year. They were going to be running Robbie Rolfo and Christian Gammarino, and then Gammarino would have jettisoned that ride for Gabriel Ria, a young Italian who's only 17 at the moment, and he wouldn't have been able to take part until Donington when he complied with the minimum age of 18. But of course, in the end, that's not happening. They're finding rides elsewhere, World Supersport and Stock 1000. Andrea Grillini involved in some, let's just say, fraud-related scandal, but there's a lot of money involved and some rather illegal activities. That's what we are to believe. So Grillini, unfortunately, not on the grid, which drops us down to 19 bikes, 20 if you include Michael Ruben Ronaldo, who's doing the European rounds on a Aruba junior team, Ducati. To be honest, although it's a great shame for the Grillini team and the riders, it's not going to make much difference. There'll be a little bit less traffic for Jonathan Ray and Copa Lap when they're coming around 2/3 of the way through the race. I think we'd all agree, though, we prefer 8 to 10 competitive bikes at the front of the field than have 21 bikes in total when you've only got 4, maybe 3 fighting for the win.
Absolutely, and that's very true. You know, yes, it's a shame, and okay, the numbers will be down, but at the end of the day, I think this year, we've said off air before, World Superbikes is going to come back, and I think we're going to have more possibilities of manufacturers winning and more possibilities of races, because there's a new round in Argentina and there's the possible 3 races at Donington Park and Portimao. Tell us more.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. That's something I heard when I was at the Jerez test back in January. And the belief is that Dorna at the moment is discussing various ideas. And you have to say, Dorna, like any company running a big world championship, is always going to get its criticism. And of course it does from time to time. Some of it warranted, some of it unwarranted. But in this case, I think, as you mentioned just before we started the interview, I was listening to the show, they are trying, aren't they? And they're being seen to try different things, moving a race to a Saturday, doing this grid reshuffle. And now their latest idea, not confirmed, but they are talking about it, is to do 3 races on the weekend of Donington and Portimao. Now, why those 2 weekends? Well, they run on a slightly different time schedule, of course, because those 2 countries are an hour behind the rest of Europe. So what the idea is to put the Saturday race in the same place and then have 2 races on a Sunday afternoon, one of them beginning the race day and then another one ending the race day after the other races, which would give you a lovely sort of MotoGP-like build-up to that last race, with the smaller races first and then the third one. So that could be quite interesting as well, if we have 3 races. And obviously it would give us 2 extra races in the World Championship this year.
Absolutely, and there's already the Argentine round that's coming on. Now, Yoni Hernandez, the Colombian, is in the field this year. We've also got Leandro Mercado, who's Argentinian. 2 massive South American names, and I'll take a quote from Yoni Hernandez. He said, South America is basically one big country split up into small states, which are obviously the countries, but they're all countries, and we know South America is not one big country. But the fan support down that end of the world and across the pond is going to be huge. That Argentina round, if it goes ahead, of course, this is still subject to contract, could be like 1990s with all the masses of crowd coming to the circuit. Could be like the good old days.
Well, first of all, I must say that was a fascinating fact, wasn't it, from Yoni Hernandez? So some great geographical knowledge there from Yoni. But it would be great, wouldn't it? We've never had a World Superbike race on the continent of South America before. And as we know, it's not the same circuit that hosts MotoGP at the moment, Termas de Rio Hondo. It's a brand new track, El Bidicum it's known. It's in the province of San Juan. It's over 1,000 kilometers away from Buenos Aires. It's off towards the Andes on the left-hand side of the map. You can see the Andes actually from the circuit, and it's not too far actually from the border with Chile. It's a really wide track as well. It would be by far the widest, at 18 meters wide. So we're talking sort of Sepang levels in terms of track width. And yeah, of course, it is subject first and foremost to the circuit actually being ready. At the moment, the track is there, but there's no white lines, there's no gravel traps, there's no grandstands, walls, media centre, or pretty much anything apart from the track itself. In the latest video we've seen, Frank Bassier, who's the FIM technical officer, did go out there last week or the week before to do an inspection. They're very happy with it so far, but you can't really fully analyse the track for safety before anything's been built. But let's hope it does happen. They've got till the end of October. And if it doesn't, we go to Jerez and then hopefully, fingers crossed, get to Argentina next year. But let's hope it happens this year. And certainly, Kiko, from everyone I've spoken to and heard from, whether it's in the organisation or anyone around the paddock, everyone is pretty sure it will happen. And I believe some travel arrangements are already being made. That's always a good sign. So some flights are being booked already to get people out there.
Brilliant news. And again, a new market exposed. I think I've said this a lot of times before in various platforms, that Dorna have got to expose new markets where the crowds are. Thailand's been a massive success for the series, and I hope Argentina can repeat that. The big question, though, is how much of a success can the rules and regulations be? Now, just run us through exactly what they are. It's something about rev limits being reduced, and also the smaller teams having more access to the, how shall we say, more factory parts.
Yeah, and this is going to be good practice for me before I get to the commentary box next weekend with James Whitton, because we've been talking about this already. We've been saying we need to be able to explain this to everyone without causing even more confusion, which is quite easy to do, quite honestly. So, yeah, where do we start? Rev limit is the big one. It's all sort of technical changes this year. We don't really have any sporting regulation changes. That was all last year, wasn't it, when we had the grid reshuffle, and of course the year before that, the race 1 rather, being put back to a Saturday. Technical changes this year. So rev limits first. Obviously, World Superbikes is not Grand Prix racing. They're not prototype bikes, as in MotoGP or Formula One, where you've got vehicles, cars or bikes made solely for racing. These are production-based bikes, like you get in touring cars, all coming from the road model. So you have to start somewhere. So that makes it a lot more difficult to police, because with a MotoGP bike, everybody starts at zero, don't they? They start with a clean sheet of paper and they build their bike up around that. With this, you've already got a base, and it's the road bike, and each base is different. So already you need to find a way to balance that out before you even start changing the bikes into World Superbike specs. That's the first thing you need to bear in mind. And what they're doing this year is taking the revolutions, the revs per minute, the RPM of all of the road bikes, and then what they're saying is you can have 3.3% on top of that. So it's obviously more than the road bike, but it's significantly less than these manufacturers have had when they've been developing these engines. And of course, they get better year on year, generally speaking, over the last few years. Kawasaki, of all the four-cylinder engines, has taken the biggest drop. They're down to 14,100 as opposed to 14,700 odd for the other four cylinders. Obviously, they're not best pleased about that. But generally speaking, we're going to start the season, generally speaking, there's a few exceptions with the Ducati and so on, but most of them will have 500 more revs than their road-going equivalent. But then this is the point that Kawasaki is not happy about. Depending on how the season goes, the Superbike Commission, the organisers, are able to adjust those rev limits. So if anyone's not doing very well, they can help them, and if they are doing well, they can shift them down. The closest I can compare this to is when touring cars introduced success ballast and they put more weight on the car doing well, and it did work actually. It equalled it quite nicely. Is it fair? Is it manufactured? Maybe you could say it is, but it is the same for everybody. So after rounds 3, 6 and 9, which is Aragon, Donington and Misano, the organisers are able to reduce the revs. And this is applying to the manufacturer, by the way. So if it happens to Kawasaki Racing Team, it's all the other Kawasaki teams as well. They can reduce them by 250 revs each time. So it could go down to 250, then down by 500, and potentially they could be ending the season, possibly, with 750 less revs than they start, which is a massive, massive difference. They'd be getting close to the road bike again. Well, in fact, the Superbike would have less revs, would you believe, than the road bike, which seems a bit crazy. But that's how it is. It's gonna make it very interesting. And so they're going to have to respond in other ways by making electronics changes and other settings they can change with the gearing. But it will mean the riders are going to have to ride a little bit differently to adjust to that.
I mean, it's great, though, that Dorna have acknowledged that we need to make a change. They've made the 2 changes in the sporting regs. Yeah. Now we need to make a change in the technical regs. And whilst everyone might be a little bit, well, I'm not sure if it's going to work, or a little bit more sceptical, I think, than us, I personally believe this could be a change that makes World Superbikes a lot fairer. It brings parity back into the sport, because we've had none of that over the last couple of years. It really has been Ducati and Kawasaki, mainly Kawasaki. And at the end of the day, I think each manufacturer they all have to adapt. You know, Kawasaki obviously the hardest hit, but this is a new rule. So no matter how big or small your manufacturer recruitment size is and your investments into the championship, you're still going to have to make this change. And, you know, like you say, it's the exact same for everyone. So we've gone through there quite a lot. It's only fair that I asked for a prediction. Who's going to win, or who's going to be your top 3?
Oh, I was doing this with a friend the other day. This is a bit boring on me, but Jonathan Ray will win the World Championship. It's not going to be as easy. It is not going to be as easy. I think there are going to be closer races. There have to be closer races. But over the course of a 26-round championship season, it could even be 28 rounds if we get those extra 2 races, 28 races, whatever it is. I still think Perariva, Kawasaki Racing Team, and all of the Kawasaki people behind the scenes in Japan, in Europe, even the 4 or 5 people in the back of a garage, don't forget that too. Other teams don't have that in World Superbike, not the small ones, that's for sure. With all of that taken into consideration, the data they already have, and the fact Jonathan Ray is a legend of his era, that's the truth of it, He's a very, very competent and quick rider. I still think he will win the World Championship. I think Chaz Davies will finish second at the end of the day, but it might be a bit of, I hope I'm wrong, Kiko, but it could be a bit of a difficult start because of the injuries. Phillip Island shouldn't be too bad. We'll see how it goes in Thailand. And I'm going to stick my neck out. And, well, maybe it's not sticking my neck out too much under the circumstances. And I reckon that Alex Lowe's might finish this season third in the championship. I could well be wrong, and in a way I hope I am, because it means it's going to be super, super unpredictable. So I'm going to go, for now, bearing in mind we've still got 2 more days of testing, Davis, Ray, Alex Lowe's, 1, 2, 3. Also, just remember, of course, the concession parts as well. That's another technical change. The smaller teams now are all able to run the parts that the top teams use. So that's very important too. All of the top teams and top manufacturers are obliged by the regulations to be able to provide all of the most updated parts for all of the teams. So let's just say Yamaha, for example, I know they've got a few wildcard entries for the season coming up. If they have a new part to put on Alex Lowe's and Michael van der Mark's bike, they must make sure enough of those new parts are available for all of the other wildcard Yamahas to use them as well. So that's going to be great, because it means Forrest, for example, is going to start the season with very similar equipment to Davis and Melandri, and vice versa. If it's Top Pack Razgatiogu, is going to have a similar Kawasaki to Ray and Sykes. So that basis alone, it's going to be closer, isn't it?
And that's a really good point you mentioned, actually. Completely forgot about Xavi Forrest's performance last year at Phillip Island. He led for a while, so if he's on the same, more or less the same machinery, he could be a right spoiler in the opening few rounds of this year. We've done the conversation, we've done the analysis now. Now, I'll just say something to Motorsport Radio viewers and listeners. We are, in 2018, for all our shows, going to be introducing a little quiz for each of our guests about their selected field. So obviously, Greg, you're on the line today. We've got you some World Superbike questions. Now, there are 10 marks. These are... So, like I said to you the other day, I hope your job doesn't depend on it. It shouldn't. They're not too hard. They do get harder.
Well, I'm going to say this now, Kiko Giles. If my job is compromised as a result of the end of this quiz, you know who I'll be coming to.
Well, you don't know my address, so we'll leave it at that. But there's 5 questions. The first 3 are all 1-mark questions. The 4th one is a 2-mark question. And the 5th one, there will be a timer on, and that will be 5 marks if you get all of the content in that is needed. So, right, first question then.
And have we got, are there lifelines available?
On the friends. We'd get done for copyright if we did that. For the 4th question, we'll give you one, because there's actually 2 parts. So, we can give you one for that. So we'll crack on with question 1. Who was the 1993 World Superbike champion?
Was that 1993, you said?
1993, yep.
Right, good. I'm glad I've got at least one right. That was Scott Russell on the Kawasaki.
That is correct. Now, there's no money involved, so don't take this competitive, I'm telling you. Right, number 2.
God, I've got one right, to be honest with you.
Number 2, then. Who, of the list of World Superbike winners, in order of most wins to the least wins, who is 3rd on that list? So you've got Johnny Ray, you've got Carl Fogarty, but who's after Foggy? Or Foggy,
Yeah, I should know this, shouldn't I? Carl Fogarty's on 59, Jonathan Ray's on 54. Now, hang on, let me get this right, because this is a close one, is it? Bayliss is up there, Hager's close as well, but I don't know if I'm confusing it with podiums here. So let me just think. Oh dear, this is. I should know this. Spend the whole season talking about it, banging on about it in commentary. I think it's one of those 2. I'm pretty sure it's one of those 2, but I know you haven't got much time on a live show, so I'm going to have to just take a guess here. Is it Bayliss or is it Hager? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Hang on, wait. I'm not checking it, by the way. There wouldn't be any fun. I am going to go Bayliss. You have chosen Troy Bayliss. You've chosen the right answer. Well done. That's 2 marks. Really? Wow. It is. Troy Bayliss on 52. Hager only 43, but Norrie Hager started winning in 1997, I believe, at Sugo. So, yeah, right. That's because one of those Hager's higher. I think it might be podiums or front row starts or something like that. Okay, good. That's a relief.
we'll let you sort that one out. I won't run out of time on this one. Third question for one mark. We haven't had a Japanese race circuit for quite some time. What was the last circuit to host one?
Ooh. Now, the first thing that springs to mind is Sugo, but let me just have a quick think through my mind, Kiko. I think it's got to be Sugo, or am I confused? Yeah, I'll go Sugo. I think it's Sugo.
You're right, Sugo it was. 2003, I believe, was the last time we went there. Neil Hodgson, double.
I can't remember. Okay,
right.
that's a relief.
Question 4. Now, this is for 2 marks and you get a lifeline, okay? You can have 2 guesses at this. Lester, I know who's tuning in at the back of my ears. Get ready for your timer after this question, okay? So that's the timer coming up for question 5. So, first of all, question 4. In what year did Pier Francesco Chidi win his first race, and at what circuit was it at? That's 2 marks, so 1 for the year and 1 for the circuit.
Oh, should know. To be brutally honest with you, I can't remember. So it's it must be early to mid 90s, Keeley. So let's say, I don't know. I thought 95. But I'm going to say 94.
1994. Okay, we'll tell you the correct answer after. And what circuit?
I honestly cannot remember. So I'm going to just take a wild guess and go with Misano.
Oh, right. Is he right? Pier Francesco Chidi won his first race in 1995. So there's no marks there, and he won it at Monza. So he was in the right country, but wrong venue. So you stay on. You stay on 3 there, but you've got a big chance now to redeem yourself, Greg. Your Eurosport job is on the line here. You've got to get this right to continue being employed on the world stage. Okay, Lester, let's have the timer on screen. 30 seconds, Greg. Okay.
30 seconds, okay.
Have we got the timer? There it is. 30 seconds in the top right-hand side of your screen. Right. There has been many riders who have won MotoGP races and World Superbike races. There have been 9 of them riders have been from outside of Europe. Name them. 30 seconds starts now.
9 riders have won races from outside of Europe as well. Okay, you've got
in GP and World Superbikes. In GP and World Superbikes.
GP and World Superbikes. Wow, that is a tricky one. I've got to think of people, Americans, I guess. So Nick Doohan, Japanese. Hager obviously didn't win in GP. This is going to be a rubbish score, I must say. Kaczynski might well be one. I'm struggling here, Kiko. Badly.
Time's up. In all fairness, we did give you a bit of a short one there, so take 2 more stabs in the dark.
Crikey, that is a tricky one. You really need to sit down and think about it, don't you? So it's riders who've won in both MotoGP class and World Superbike from outside of Europe.
Yep. You've said Doohan and you've said Kaczynski.
Yeah, I think they're right. That's ridiculous. I should know best of it. I just can't think. It's funny when you're on the spot, isn't it?
Terrible.
Americans. It is bad, isn't it? Ben Speed, obviously. I should have known that one quicker. Ben Speed is definitely correct. Then you gave me one more opportunity, didn't you? So let's try and use it and get it right. I'm thinking of Americans, to be honest with you. Nicky Hayden, of course.
Okay. We'll have to accept that. We'll allow that time bit to slip. Nicky Hayden did win a race in World Superbikes, 1 at Sepang in the wet and 3 in Grand Prix. You said Mick Doohan, he did the double at, I think it was Oran Park. He did that in 1989 or 88, but obviously he's won many Grand Prix races, so you were correct there. John Kaczynski was a World Superbike champion and won his first Grand Prix at Shah Alam at Malaysia in 1991 in the Premier class. And Ben Speed's obviously World Superbike champion in 2009 and won a one-off Grand Prix in 2011 at Assen. So you got 4 out of 9. Would you like me to reveal the other 5?
Yeah, go on then.
Right, you could have said Troy Bayliss.
There you go.
You could have said Makoto Tamada.
I wouldn't have thought of him, but yeah, good answer.
You could have said Kevin McGee.
Oh, that's another good one. Yeah, Kevin McGee, of course.
You could have said Gary McCoy.
Gary McCoy, yeah. See, I was thinking more American now again to Australia, yeah.
And the last one, and to my knowledge, he is the only South American rider in World Superbikes to win a race in the modern era since 2000, Alex Barros.
Alex Barros, yes, he won one, didn't he?
So,
was it Imola, I think it was?
Monza, I believe.
Monza it was. Yeah.
That's how sad my life is. I don't know why I know.
To be honest, I don't. Now you've said those, I don't feel so bad. Apart from Troy Bayliss, there was no excuses. I should have gone back.
Right, so you got the first 3 questions right, and you got the next. You got 4 right on the big quiz, so to speak, at the end. So we had 9, and then we had 2. That's 11. So out of 14, you did score 50%. That's 7 out of 14 for Gregory Haynes, World Superbike commentator for Eurosport.
Could have been worse, but it could have been a whole lot better.
The good news is, Greg, that you are now top of our motorsport radio league of knowledge. So you are top. Try and get people, encourage people onto the show who you think don't have a great chance of exceeding that. So we've got Leicester. We're going to swap back to him in a moment. So, Greg, thanks for that. Thanks for the fun and the games. We've gone way over how long we planned to, but that's all right. It's all been good fun. Have a safe flight out to Australia, and catch up with you whenever, and enjoy yourself down under.
Thanks very much, Kiko. Thanks to everyone for listening in. And yeah, we will be live from 1:15 in the morning next Saturday.
Greg, thanks for joining us. Take care.
Thanks, Kiko. Speak soon.
Bye-bye.
Motorsport Radio.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ray from the Kawasaki Racing Team.
Hi, this is Nick Hamilton.
Hi, I'm Jamie Chadwick.
Hey everyone, I'm Bradley Smith.
Hi, I'm Joan Zarco.
Hi, I'm Bradley Wright.
Hi, I'm Seb Morris.
Hi, I'm Dan Linfoot from Honda Racing, British Superbike Team, and this is Motorsport Radio.
This is Motorsport Radio. Join the conversation and have your say on motorsport-radio.com. Motorsport Radio. The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Wow, that was a good, fantastic interview. Thank you very much, Mr. Greg Haynes, for making your Motorsport Radio debut. And yeah, we might make that a thing, depending on how well or how badly future quizzes go. But thank you for taking part. Anyway, you're a good sport, and yeah, nice to hear the views of Greg Haynes, a notable figure in every motorcycle paddock, and a worthy opponent, Kiko, for any motorcycle pub quiz, perhaps, or maybe not. But whatever you do, don't ask me anything.
Yeah, Greg knew his stuff. I was impressed at the end. To be fair, there's a lot of riders I would not have got from outside of Europe on that last bit. But he did well. I must admit he did well.
Oh, it's his job too, I suppose, isn't it? It's, maybe.
Well, I just really hope he doesn't give me a ring now from Barcelona and say, I'm out of a job, Kiko. Can I come and replace your Motorsport Radio? No, I'm sure that he would anyway. But
some like very attentive, I don't think there are many, but supposing maybe there is a more nerdier bike person than you, Kiko, they might actually say, actually, I need to get on the internet and inform everybody of wrong answer and such, and the shambles will have been had. But anyway.
I've actually just got a text off Greg. He does say he is out of a job, and can he come and replace me on Motorsport Radio? Well, Greg, you are very welcome to this charity work that I'm doing. So yeah, come over and make yourself feel free.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. We'll sort out some Kiko's usual payment, which is black pudding and high praise. That's all you get, I'm afraid.
That's all I need.
So yeah, this is the Superbike Show special, World Superbike special on Motorsport Radio. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name's Lester. Kiko Giles is here with us, and yeah, we are looking ahead to not only the tests next week, but the first round shortly thereafter. And we've still got quite a few bits of things to come on the show. Alex Lowe's on the way very shortly. We'll be previewing the Supersport 600 as well, and Mr. Andy Irwin on the show a bit later on. And so we'll stay tuned for all of that as well. This show was meant to just be a sharp 1 hour in and out sort of thing, but Kiko got chatting. Hey ho, it was a good chat. It was good to listen to anyway. So what's up next, Kiko?
I believe, are we talking Alex Lowe's or are we talking Andy Irwin?
Either one, whichever, whoever. They're both here.
Well, I would put it to a poll, but probably because no one's going to vote quick enough, we'll go Andy Irwin. Let's see what 600 Super Sport rider on the world stage is going to be doing in 2018.
I'm outside the showy stand with runner-up in British Supersport in 2017, Andrew Irwin. He's also signed a new deal to go on to World Supersport in 2018. Tell us more, Andrew.
Yeah, it was a good year in 2017, to be honest. We made a really big step from where we were at the end of 2016, where we were just about inside the top 10, really, to be honest. And had a good off-season and worked hard, trained hard, and just really made it a lot easier for myself, and done things right, added everything that I should have been doing in previous years. And yeah, we took the championship down to the last round. It was obviously not the result that I wanted, coming second, but I think we took it from 103 or 113 points at a time to come back to 13 or whatever it was at the end. So yeah, it was a good year. And into 2018 then, it's so exciting. I can't wait to get started. We go testing at the end of January, I think, and then we have a test that's in Europe, and then a test in Australia before the race. So yeah, we should be good to go come round one, and we go there open-minded, ready to take on whatever it is. And to be honest, I don't know results-wise where we're going to be, but the main thing is that we progress throughout the year. And I don't want to go to World Supersport for 1 year. I want to go there and make a name for myself to continue in that paddock and see where that leads us to.
Did it surprise that it took you until the end of the season to win a race, yet still be a championship challenger?
Yeah, maybe, but I think was it Andrew Pitt won a world
Andrew Pitt 2000 without winning a race.
He never won a race, so yeah. At the end of the day, everyone remembers the title, not the races that he won, is the way I look at it. But he'll remember all the second places I had, and even if I was to win, it's still Keith's name that's on the championship. So yeah, it was maybe frustrating at the time, but I'm over it and looking forward to next year.
What are your expectations going into World Supersport next season?
I don't really have expectations, the main thing is to make progression. I don't want to be last, that's for sure, but if we start the year in around the top 10 and progress, hopefully getting podiums or a podium at the end of the year, who knows, I could go to Australia and I could be 20 something, or I could be closer to the front. And I think I don't know, I'm really open-minded about it, and I just don't want to disappoint myself and go there and have fun, as my old teammate Ben Curry is in each over there.
I know Ben's behind us. I think he's just been ringing me. What do you see yourself doing past 2018? Is it into World Superbikes, or maybe a switch to the Grand Prix scene? What route are you looking to take?
So, it's really tough to know. I just kind of take it year by year. I don't set out a schedule of what I should be doing, or say a yearly plan of what can happen. The only way that I can put it is I'm going to World Championship racing, and I want to stay in a paddock that is in World Championship. I don't want to come back to British Championship after 1 year, because I think it'll have been not a waste of a year, but 1 year of learning to then come back. I don't want to do that. But if you look at the say Sam Lewis took, he's went to Moto 2, he then got a factory ride in MotoGP. Ultimately you want to be racing in MotoGP, and that's where every racer wants to be. So yeah, I don't know, eventually get the MotoGP is the dream, but we'll just take it year by year and see what happens.
I've seen your brother venture into road racing. Is there any chance of you going there?
No, definitely not. Road racing's not for me. I understand why Glenn does it. He gets an incredible buzz for it. He does a good job doing it, and I would say he's pretty well rewarded for doing it. So for me, it's just not for me. I enjoy going to watch it, and yeah, it's just not the path that I want to take.
Do you feel any pressure having Glenn as a factory-supported rider in effect in British Superbikes? Do you feel that pressure to try and live up to your brother's name, or do you just take every day as it comes?
No, definitely not a pressure. I take it as a positive. You know, at the end of the day, having a big brother in that paddock, you know, you can learn from him. So it's more of a positive than pressure. And I think some people could maybe take it the wrong way, but you know, he's always there for me if I ever need anything, or you know, we chill out together at night time and give each other advice. You know, if I've seen him on track doing something, or if he saw something, or you know, even you can look at it in the live time and you know which is your weaker sector, and we'd maybe text why are you so weak there, or you're strong here. But yeah, he's definitely a positive influence on me, not a pressure.
Finally, what would make you happy next season? What would be an ideal position? Now, every racer wants to win the championship, but going in as a rookie, what's the ambition? What's the target?
Honestly, I'd be happy if at least one podium would be good. But yeah, I'm ambitious, and we'll just wait and see what happens. I know what I want, but we'll work hard for it in the off season, and I'll go learn some tracks before we get to the races, and I'll make life as easy as possible instead of going everywhere green. Suppose you know I'll know, and it's going to be a fun year, and I'm really excited for it. I haven't done much travelling in the past, but obviously there's going to be a lot of airports and see around the world a little bit, a lot of racetracks, maybe not so much the world, but you know, you're going to Phillip Island. Everyone says it's one of the best racetracks in the world, and going there 30 degrees heat or something, it's going to be good, and it's going to be an experience. And yeah, we'll give it our all and see what happens.
Sounds like a bit more of a lad's holiday than anything else. Andy Owen, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Speaking to Kiko a short while ago at the Motorcycle Live show at the NEC, and yeah, that was a good lad, really, isn't he? Is old Andy Irwin. I think he can maybe do, based on nothing at all, of course, only the fact that I'm going to presume he's going to be good this year, but he hopes that he's going to get at least one podium. I think he can probably do better.
Well, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. That Supersport 600 class is really competitive. It was by
but he's very good.
Exactly, but it was by far and away the best series in the World Superbike paddock last year. Caricasulo is going to be strong again. Gammarino will be strong again. Sofawoglu is obviously going to be right up there. Badavini, Baldolini, Carl Smith, Britain's own Carl Smith. And now you've got Andrew Irwin. It's going to be a real feast of activity, a hive of action and drama, thrills and spills throughout the whole series next year. Again, replica of 2017. And if that's what we get, that's what I will be well happy with.
I was going to perhaps ask you, sod it, I will. World Superbikes in general, though, is the sparkle, could it come back this year? Particularly with the Prosecco round at Donington? or maybe not. Never mind. That was a Kiko special. He told me that.
Don't you dare tell me that I gave you that. That was a horrendous one-liner. Lester Forbes, hang yourself. I'm saying no more.
Anyway, moving swiftly on. Okay. So yes, talking about what's still to come in 2018, not only have we got all the, as Kiko said, thrills and spills, whatever they may be, but also some fantastic stuff on the motorsport.radio website. We have just confirmed a fantastic bike editor, senior bike editor. You might know him. It's Kiko. We couldn't find anyone better.
Oh, me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so you've made the switch. We've poached you, and you're going to be scribbling and writing and even talking, doing visual stuff. You're going to be doing everything with Motorsport Radio this year.
Can't wait. Going to be a brilliant season ahead. Lots of news to come as well. We'll announce that later, though, I'm sure. But 2018 so far, so good. So far, looking good.
Exactly, that's easy for you to say. And teasing you with more big news coming. Well, big news for us, Motorsport Radio. I can't really say anything else apart from just stay tuned. The regular Superbike show encompassing not just Superbikes, BSB, but MotoGP as well. We'll return next month in a few weeks' time, and And by the way, we're not renaming the show. It is the Superbike Show, and we talk about MotoGP. Deal with it. Sorry, OCD people. Sorry. Just
question times on it in about an hour and a half, so you'll see less there.
So, loads of stuff on the website, motorsport.radio. And, it's going to be a fantastic season ahead. And we will... we're going to literally try and bombard everybody with... in the weekend, we'll have live content. That's all I'll say on occasions. We'll look to aim to get to all the BSB rounds. We'll be talking about it on our live show, on the Superbike show, roughly every Thursday. And also there'll be bits about it on Monday Motorsport, where big news breaks. And also, all the biggest interviews and stuff also on the website as well. So, wow.
Yes. There may even be a foreign round going in there somewhere. But again, I'm not saying anything more. That will all be revealed later on as well.
You got him, where is it? I forget. Nico goes on like 20 holidays a year, but anyway, we'll keep you updated with what happens. So then, we have one more interview left. Who is it?
Yeah, we do. Well, you might have heard of him. He's a regular name, I should say. You may have seen this interview before, but because it's the Superbike show and because we are previewing the World Superbike Championship, it makes sense. Alex Lowe's, what's he thinking for 2018? We asked him.
So we're backstage here again, and we're here with Alex Lowe's from the Yamaha World Superbike team. Alex, pleasure to have you with us. Sum up your 2017 for us, a massive improvement on the first year on the Yamaha.
Yeah, 2017 was good. We finished 5th in the championship. I'm not the sort of person that's ever going to be happy with that, but I enjoyed it a lot. The bike's improved a lot. The team have done a good job. So I think overall we can be really satisfied with the year and look forward to 2018 with quite a lot of optimism.
Do you feel that the new World Superbike concessions that have come in will help you get nearer the front or help the Yamaha develop as a bike?
Honestly, I think we were doing a good job anyway to close down. I think if you see the progress we made this year, the first year on the Yamaha I had a lot of injuries and it was really difficult for me, but this year we've made some really good progress. Yeah, I think that if it can help us, obviously it'll be a bonus, but anyway, we have enough sort of plans in place to try and close the gap regardless of the rules.
What was the biggest improvement from the bike from 2016 coming into 2017?
The biggest, I think the easiest thing was a year's worth of experience for the team, for the guys, not turning up at every track on a Friday with no settings, because we race on a Saturday now, so you have sort of one day to get ready, and last year it was quite difficult, but this year we sort of started every weekend a couple of steps forward. I think it made a big progress for us.
Has the World Superbike's reverse grid helped you in any way, or has it hindered you, or not really bothered at all?
I'm not really bothered either way, to be honest.
Has MotoGP experience helped you on the Tech 3 bike?
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I don't think I was riding, when I had the opportunity to ride, I think I wasn't riding very well in World Superbike. I'd like to have another go now and riding a lot better, but yeah, I learnt a lot, and it's all good experience.
What's the plans for 2018? Race wins on the cards, and that's got to be a target, surely?
Yeah, we need to be winning races and challenging every weekend at the front of World Superbike. I think that's a realistic target for us.
You getting the top 4?
Yeah, the top 3 hopefully is the target for me for next year. Let's say it was 5th this year, and the second half of the year was quite strong, so I'm looking forward to it.
Alex, thanks for joining us.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Short and sweet interview. That was Mr. Alex Lowe's, and was he one of Greg Haynes' predictions for the top 3 this year in the
third place? Yeah. I must admit, I'm very shocked that Greg hasn't included Tom Sykes anywhere in the top 3. I mean, Tom has come out and publicly said that he thinks he's found the mojo back. If he could take it. Now, we know Johnny Ray gets the momentum, gets the ball rolling straight away. Tom Sykes historically hates Phillip Island. Don't know why. He's the only rider that doesn't like Phillip Island, to my knowledge. Thailand, he's won that. Aragon, he's won that. If Sykes, he can get a couple of podiums at Phillip Island and be in the hunt at the next 2 or 3 rounds, there is an absolute huge chance that Tom Sykes could, I think, take it to Johnny Ray, and that's what this series needs. We can say about motorcycle manufacturer parity all we want. It only takes 2 riders to have a good championship, and if you can get Ray and Sykes absolutely head-to-head in a few races, we could see a bit of a Kawasaki civil war breaking out.
Interesting indeed, yes, and Will we, or you more specifically, be going to any of the World Superbike rounds? Is it Kiko worthy? Is it up to that level yet, or are we still hoping?
Believe me, I will be in attendance at Donington Park unless I get called over to the Indy 500, which is the only major thing on that weekend for me. Yes, I said something that has 4 wheels, Lester. Stop looking so shocked. World Superbike, yeah, Donington Park for me, and maybe even a couple of others abroad, depending on whether I can get access to any bank safes or anything. But we'll skirt around that issue for now. British Superbike, so as always, I'll be in attendance at, and there will be another series I'll be covering this year. But again, more on that later.
Yeah, stop teasing, because we're not allowed to say just yet.
No, we're not.
We don't want to do what someone else did, and then the thing that did. Anyway.
Yeah, get wrecked, mate.
Anyway, right. So, the first round of the 2018 World Superbike Championship, if you didn't know, takes place in Australia next weekend, and that follows a how many days of testing? Is it 2 or 3 days?
I believe it's 2. It may well be 3. I think it's been 2 in the last couple of years. But yeah, Australia's the first round anyway, ladies and gents, and then everything in between. Of course, we must not be. What's the term?
Don't. And Thailand next. And
Thailand, Spain, the Netherlands. Assen is in April. Then we go to Imola, Donington Park. Brno makes a return this year, the Masaryk circuit in Brno. That's round 7. And you've got the United States round, which is at Laguna Seca. Laguna Seca actually means dry lake when translated to English, but, that's just my fluent American coming out there. Ninth place... Ninth place on the calendar is Mazzano, followed by the Algarve circuit at Portimao, which is the 10th round. Then it's Manucor's the El Villicum circuit in Argentina, and the season all comes under wraps in the floodlights of the desert in Lusail, Qatar. That's the last round of the year, 26th to the 27th of October. An early finish this year. It's a week earlier than last.
Interesting. Yes, so we will love to have you as a guest regularly on the Superbike show on Motorsport Radio, and we will try and do every show consistently on a Thursday, but some things might end up pushing that back or earlier in the week. We'll tell you more as we can very soon, and we'll keep teasing you with one-off interviews as well. So,
in fact, there's a very good one out on the site at the moment. There's a John Reynolds, 3-time British Superbike Championship winner. He is talking to me for some unknown reason, because why would you do that?
And I was watching.
He's exactly. He's talking to me about, as you've seen in the VT we showed at the start of this program or show, or whatever you want to call it. He is talking about Superbike regulations. He makes a prediction for his top 6 in British Superbikes, bigs up Bradley Ray and Richard Cooper, and explains his role at Suzuki, which of course he won a championship at before in the BSB series. So lots of interesting stuff from John Reynolds, and there's lots of other interesting interviews too, none other than Johnny Ray, as you've seen today. So if you want to rewatch that's on the website Johan Zarco, or if you're that keen on what we do at Motorsport Radio, you can rewatch the whole Motorcycle Live show that we covered back in November.
Bit of a shambles, if you ask me.
I think so, and we must admit we had a couple of grievances there, but everything's all okay now.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. It was my second Motorcycle Live, yes, because the first year was anyway. But the second
Tom
year,
Brooks.
Yeah, I was with Tom Brooks, now of Dorna fame. Amongst PlayStation fame, but yeah, it was fantastic to actually meet some of the listeners who actually approached us,
of which there are many.
Yes,
and we're not just saying that
I was shocked. I was genuinely shocked.
We were approached many times.
That people came up to us and didn't hurl abuse and say, "Yeah, mate, what are you doing?
What are you doing?"
Yeah, but anyway, thank you. Anyway, that's enough praise about us. Over, and yes, we will return for a full launch of the Superbike show right here live on Motorsport Radio. Thank you very much, Kiko, and thank you as well to Mr. Greg Haynes, who you should tune into live on the old commentary next weekend for the first round of the World Superbike Championship live. From Down Under. And to recap on what Kiko has put together for us, we'll end the show with a almost full list of who might be racing, and to have a full look and to see who went where over winter.
The Barney Racing Ducati team remain unchanged for 2018 despite rumours of a second bike being fielded. Xavi Forés is the team's sole entrance as they go looking for their first World Superbike win once more. Scaling down from 2 Superbikes to just 1, the Altea BMW team replaced the departing Torres by bringing in Loris Baz, somewhat unfairly left without a ride on the Grand Prix scene. The Frenchman makes his return to a championship that has moved on in great pace since his last appearance back in 2014. At Aruba.it Ducati, it is the last season of the twin-cylinder machine. It doesn't mean Chaz Davies and Marco Melandri won't be up at the sharp end, however, with 47 wins between them. Still no title for either of them, nor the Panigale V Twin, which would be the first time any factory Ducati model has failed to take a World Superbike title. Could this year be their year? Michael Rinaldi is the team's junior rider. Team Go 11 Kawasaki retain Roman Ramos' services for 2018, with Guandolini Yamaha fielding Andrei Zezek for the forthcoming season. At Factory Kawasaki, the team remains the same for a 4th straight season, with reigning champion Jonathan Rea looking to make it 4 for Northern Ireland, whilst 2013 champion and teammate for another season Tom Sykes wants to make the World Superbike Championship come home to Huddersfield. Who will it be at the end of the year? Also retaining their last year lineup, Milwaukee Aprilia enjoyed a steep learning curve in 2017, but come into 2018 with a wealth of data and knowledge already banked. Eugene Laverty and Lorenzo Savadori pilot Sean Muir's squad once more. Replacing Cameo at MV Agusta, ex-Moto2 and World Superbike race winner Jordi Torres. The Spaniard is a sole entry for MV Agusta this year and will be looking to give the Italian manufacturer their first World Superbike podium, and maybe their first win. 2 new for 2018, the first of which is World Supersport outfit Orlac Racing, who field Leandro Mercado. The second team is Triple M Honda, who run the second American in the series this year, World Supersport race winner PJ Jacobson. Puchetti Kawasaki of Toprak Razgat Lioglu making his debut in 2018. Ian Sofwoglu's protege already on the pace, whilst over at Pedicini there is another MotoGP refugee in Yoni Hernandez. Red Bull Honda had an incredibly difficult 2017, firstly with the loss of Nicky Hayden and then the injury of Stefan Bradl. Leon Camier moves across to the team from MV Agusta, whilst Jake Gagne gets a full-time World Superbike call-up. Pata Yamaha came on strong in the second half of 2017 and they retained their rider lineup for the forthcoming season. Alex Lowe's and Michael Vandermark will be settling for nothing less than a win this year, which would give Yamaha their first in World Superbikes since 2011. 2018 sees a mix of elite experience and youthful exuberance, the perfect blend of young and new. From ex-Grand Prix stars to the Superbike paddock's very own talent being brought through, 2018 has the stage perfectly set. Could this be the year World Superbikes comes back to mass audiences? Who can topple Jonathan Rea? I for one would not bet against a 4th successive title.
Motorsport Radio. The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.